Okay. All right. Welcome to the team call. I am going to share my screen. And it is Wednesday. Oops, we're not there yet. Okay. Can you guys all see that? Thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, so it is Wednesday, January 9th, 2019. I'm actually really excited because this is our first team call of the new year, and we've got a lot scheduled for January, which I'm really excited about. And my hope for you is that, and this team, is that once a month, I'm going to bring you a guest speaker. So we are so lucky to have Brittany as our first guest speaker of the year. I've already got somebody lined up for February. So just something new so that you're not constantly hearing from me, from girls, within our direct downline, which I'll talk about Brittany and kind of where she falls in all of this, just to get some fresh ideas flowing and something, even though I could probably say it to you a million ways, sometimes hearing it from somebody else, it could just spark something in you. So that's what kind of, we're moving forward with in 2019. So a little bit of Success Club updates. So we have tons of names up on the board already, which I'm so happy about because we're only 9 days into the month. So this tells me that you guys are all going out there and hustling. I have Marissa at 2, Amanda, Shay, Bethany, Nikki, Andrea, Lauren, and then John. So John is actually me. But I usually just add his points into mine. But I really wanted to make this clear for you guys to see that I get my account to Success Club. And then when I do, if I have women signing up with a discount coach, I put them underneath his account. And that's how I got him to Emerald. So now it's just maintaining his Emerald. So then as long as he maintains Emerald, I get cycles through him, and then he gets a paycheck. And then I get a cycle through everybody and him, even though it's me duplicating, and then it comes up to me. So it's double dipping. So I know that we've been kind of talking about Emerald on the last call that we were at. Oh, I guess this isn't the first call, but the other call, I'm counting that as the other team call anyways. But so as you're kind of thinking about growing your business and having that business mindset, this is something that you need to start thinking about and strategizing. So if you have any questions at all, just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm still learning the whole process, but it's always nice to learn it together. A couple housekeeping items. Okay, so Summit ticket is going on sale on the 12th. So that is Saturday. So it's going to be $155. Snag it. This is the lowest. I'm assuming that it's going to be until Summit. And on this call right now, Brittany and I are the only two that have ever been to Summit. I know Molly is already registered, and so is Nikki. If you're serious about this business, I would treat this as a job requirement. The last 2 years, I've kind of scrapped and decided last minute. This year, I was like, nope. And it's actually my first marriage anniversary this Sunday, the very last Sunday. And I told John, I'm like, I'll see you when I get home from Summit. And I'm still trying to figure that out. But to me, this is a job requirement that I have to go to. And this year, Summit is going to be a little bit different. Because they're going to have tracks. So you could think of Summit before as this umbrella of this big convention that we all go and we all learn, and it's incredible. It is truly a business game changer. But now you have tracks for where you are in your business, so it's more tailored to fit you, which I'm so excited about. So definitely take advantage of that sale. And if you have any questions about Summit, reach out. And Super Saturday, I believe today maybe was the last day to register, because I know that I just saw that Amanda just registered, which is yay. I'm so excited. So, group up. Even if you're alone, go, because you will meet people in your area and you never know what will happen. There are tons of us going. I'm so excited. And the one thing, and I'm going to say this again to all the girls who are going, because I have a carload of Michigan girls going with me too, is let Super Saturday or Super Weekend change your business. Be open to it and go into it with that mindset. I've never been to a Super Saturday. All I'm imagining is this mini summit type feel, which is incredible. So go into it with this very open mindset that this can change your business if you let it. Transform 20, unless you're brand spanking new or living under a rock, it releases on Monday. You should be talking up a storm. You should be doing the preview workouts. You should be posting polls. You should be inviting to this like crazy. I am getting multiple women enrolled almost every single day to this program because I am nonstop talking about it. You never know who's finally listening, who finally turns on the volume. If you feel like you've been talking about it every single day, good. Like, I know you're probably annoyed with yourself, but keep going. And then the last thing that I wanted to put on here is that the 3-day refresh is on sale this month. If you have no idea what the 3-day refresh is, it's a cleanse, but you actually get to eat food on it. So you can go in and kind of research that. I'm not going to dive into that, but the 3-day refresh is a really good thing to do like after you've had like a vacation and you're looking to get back on track. It's also a really good thing to do for volume in your business. So, you can go through it, or if there's a holiday coming up or after St. Patrick's Day, I don't know, I'm thinking of holidays that are coming up after Valentine's Day, if you guys indulge in Valentine's Day, whatever it may be, to say, get a group of people together and say, let's do this together. So definitely look into that. Let me know if you have any questions. I've done it a couple times. Okay, so now moving on to the meat of the call. So if you don't know Brittany, this is Brittany. I put her Instagram tag on there so that you can definitely go and give her a follow. She has been a coach for 1.5 years. She's an Emerald coach. She's en route to Diamond. Then that's how I definitely read that on my phone today. And she's a full-time director of audience solutions and business development with Politico, which if I had a job title like that, I would be like, here's my business card, check it out. So a little bit about Brittany and kind of how her and I know each other. She is part of Danielle's downline, Danielle's organization, and I am part of Mackenzie. So that Run Wild, Hustle, and Shine, that's Mackenzie and Danielle being success partners. Their business does not directly affect each other. So Brittany and my business, we don't directly affect each other, but over the last, did we start Fitober together? Is that when we started?
I think it was September, maybe. Did we do a September boot camp?
No, I was with Mackenzie. It was like a flop, just like with like girls and stuff. So we started in October together. We kind of have similar styles, and like we both like to be kind of organized and with it to have all of our ducks in a row, but yet we're so different that we can kind of bring like different flavors and flares to everything. And we just have been working really well together. So it's been going so amazing. So I'm like, okay, come and speak to my girls. I see you all the time in this boot camp. And so that's how Brittany became where she is today and on this call. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I mean, Janine summed a lot of this up really perfect just then, but I am so excited to be on with you guys today because we all know each other already from boot camp. And so I'm just excited to kind of get to, I feel like I know so many of you already, but just to get to connect kind of on this level too, outside of the boot camp, smaller group, like actually realize who is coaching and everything is awesome. And I know you guys all hear me talking in the boot camp all the time. So you know what I'm about. I'm no surprise to you. But Janine just mentioned, I have been a coach for about 1.5 years. I'm coming up on 2, and I wanted to call that out for you guys because I wanted to just give you the feel for probably the first year of my business. I was just doing it to fund my own hobby. And I did go to Summit my first year, but things got busy. I kind of dabbled around. I was not really a discount coach, but I wasn't building the business for a very long time. And I missed Summit. So I missed Summit this year and I had FOMO like crazy. Like I missed all the girls. I mean, I wanted to see everyone. It had been over 1 year since I'd seen everyone. And about the same time, a few women in my downline also started just like crushing it. And I got a text from Danielle that was like, Britt, what's happening with your team? Like they're killing it right now. And I was like, I don't know, but I've been getting I've been getting paychecks, and it's because of the work that they're putting in. And like, I am going to step up my game. This thing is real. I want it, like, let's get going. And so I kind of came back into it, and that was probably August. Came back into it. That was around Lift 4, got plugged back in, and then started running boot camps with Janine, and, have been hustling ever since. And so I wanted to just tell you guys that because I really struggle, and I know this is a really common theme for a lot of you starting out. And I know some of you are a little bit more seasoned, some of you are very new, but it's kind of a persistence of very common fears. And it's one of those is, I struggled with who do I talk to? Who do I reach out to? Embarrassment about posting. I had all of these very classic fears, never having a natural way to fit a conversation, hesitation to follow up, all of the very standard things. And so, I sat on this for a year until it finally clicked. And for me, it was about starting to build a process and starting to just get comfortable in that process I was building. And I remember also kind of saying to Danielle, I think I finally get it. Like, I get the whole pipeline. I just had to systematize it for myself. So I kind of wanted to say, I wanted to really start this year, not about talking about the basics, but I know a lot of you probably are Rachel Hollis fangirls. I 100% am. I know Janine is, and so she probably posts all of the things about Rachel Hollis. We're going to get to see her speak at Summit, and I am so freaking pumped for that. But she did a really honest assessment that I absolutely loved on her Rise podcast towards the end of the year. And if you're not listening to her podcast, you absolutely should. So this is definitely a podcast plug. But she went and evaluated what she did right. So what I did right and what I did wrong in 2018. And I'm just going to go through this with you all. And, it was kind of like an annual review or an audit of my year. And if you haven't done this for yourself, I hope some of my lessons kind of help you here. And I encourage you to really do it for yourself and figure out whether you've been a coach for the last year, 6 months, the last month, what's working for you, what's not working, and then how do you grow what you're doing well or pivot from what you're not. So with that, things that were great in 2018 for me, and I'm going to kind of flip back and forth a little bit and shout out questions. I can get to them after, and I can dig in even to some of the basics if you want to know, how I invite whatever it is. But so what I did well in 2018, one of those was I tried new things. I was trying new things all the time. So August hit and I jumped in. I ran my first boot camp with Janine. That was my very first time. Well, in over a year, I run my first boot camp. I ran ads. I started inviting. I started running sneak peeks. I just jumped in full force, and I really started doing all of the things that we talk about that are scary. I just tried them, and it became really clear to me all of a sudden that, it's not hurting anything. I can try, and if it is a failure, it is fine. It's not a failure because I'm not going to quit. And so they always say in this business, you can't fail unless you quit, unless you stop. And that's so true. If you try something and it doesn't work out, you change it next time. And really, truly, you are not going to know. I think what I finally realized was you're not going to know what works until you know what doesn't. And so just like life, just like jobs, it really is just a process of elimination. And that if you talk to people about their careers over and over and over again, you hear all of these stories about, oh, they did a little bit of this, they dabbled in something else. And then, finally they are where they are today, but it wasn't for lack of just eliminating the things that they didn't want to do. And that applies here. So really, I think it's about two parts. This trying new things, it's about isolating what that big, scary thing is for you right now and just jump in, just do it. And, next time, so like if that big, scary thing for you is a challenge group, reach out to someone within your team, just ask like, hey, do you want to give this a try together? Because what I did realize is that even if you run a challenge group and in your eyes, it's not a good challenge group, most of the girls coming in, they don't know what a good challenge group looks like. So it's going to be great to them. Isolate also the activities that aren't working for you and pivot, try something else. So that's kind of my, trying new things. That was something I did do pretty well with sneak peeks, for example, and I'll get back to this. Sneak peeks have not been super successful for me right now. And so I am in the process of kind of figuring out what am I doing on the recruiting front and how that's going to look different for me in the next couple of months. And I can kind of just let you know here in a minute. So second, this was one of my failures. I know a lot of people don't like the word failures, but I'm kind of fine with it. This was one thing I did not do well. Consistency. So my outcomes since August have been all over the map. And I'll be very, very honest about that. I have had months where, well, it's gone back and forth too. It's been a month of hitting 10, 12, 14, but the months in between have been 0 or 2. It's been, I've gone in, I've hit Success Club 10, and then it's just dropped. I've gone in and I've hit a high number. I've been on our leaderboard, and then it's just dropped off. And I had to sit down and do a very honest assessment of myself of like, why is this happening? And it 100% comes down to consistency. And the thing about this business that I've learned in the past year is that you have to be patient. And I loved this. I heard this on a call I was listening to recently. It was the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. So when it comes to inviting, you are planting seeds all the time along the way. You're planting seeds, you're doing that outreach, you're talking to people, you're inviting, you're letting them know that you have this boot camp you're inviting to. There's usually a 30, 60, 90-day gap between the time you invite them to the time they say, okay, this is for me. And it could be longer. I have had some girls that I've been talking to or who reached out after following me for a year. And because I was consistent in inviting, because I was consistent in showing up, it has a lot of legs in different pieces of the business, then you start to reap the rewards of that. But even if they say no or not right now, you're continuing to be consistent, you are inviting, you are connecting with them, you're continuing to add value. So if you have something right now, we all have a free workout. This is huge. We all have a free workout that we can reach out to some of those people who said they didn't have the money, they didn't have the time, they weren't interested right now, whatever it was. We have a free workout with Transform 20 right now to reach out and say like, hey, Julie, I was just thinking about you. I know we were talking about this before and you were super busy this month. I have this free workout. If I sent you a link, would that be helpful to you? And they're going to say, yeah, send it my way. 100% they will. Or they're going to say, screw off and they're mean anyway. So you move on. But anyway, so kind of from there, I'm going to go back to another win. One of my wins this year was professional development in this business. Professional development. I had, since I came back, such a hunger when I'm getting home from my full-time job, I am working out, and then I am sitting back down on my couch and I am looking up trainings, and I wanted to pour all of that knowledge and figure out what are people doing. I was looking at YouTube. I was finding a couple of coaches that I absolutely love. Rachel Baldwin and Ashley Feldeisen are two who I have just like fallen in love with their style, the way they talk to their team, the way they educate. Jen Richardson is one who I really resonate with as well. Angie Belmar, she is just, so positive. She also dabbles in, I think, like some just YouTube things and businesses, and they're entrepreneurial. And I have just been pouring into learning different systems, getting different ideas, educating myself about what's to come. That is something that, you have so many resources available to you. Make sure you are on our team calls. Make sure you are listening to the National Wake Up Call. Make sure you are in the Team Beachbody Champions page. So TBB Champions, because they are posting videos all the time. And then you start to figure out which coaches make sense to you, like who you really resonate with. Go to their YouTube channel. They're posting all the time. So that was something I did do really well. On the flip side, which is kind of interesting, my fail, personal development. I was not on the personal development game last year. I really wasn't at all. And I think kind of what had happened is I had started to listen to an audiobook that just wasn't jiving with me. And I was trying so hard to force my way through it and just move on. With personal development, I think it's so important to find somebody who you really get, who you feel like their brain kind of works in the same way you do, but better, and it's expanding your mind, but it just resonates with how you think. Look at books and podcasts, and it doesn't just have to be a really dense book you're getting through. Rise from Rachel Hollis has been one of my very favorites recently. I vibe with Jenna Kutcher. So she is outside of this business, but she started as a wedding photographer. She now runs and like a whole bunch of, she does a whole bunch of things in the business. She has a lot of different trainings she does on email marketing, and she's really smart. She also runs a podcast. You don't have to listen to every episode either of the podcast. And so I guess my recommendation on both books, if you're in the middle of a book and you're not liking it, move on, find something else that you do like. Same with podcasts. If you know that you're not going to resonate with an episode, skip it. Get the next one, get one that you do. Or if you start, I'm going to be honest here. I started a podcast, one of the episodes with Jenna Kutcher this week with Autumn. Autumn was on Jenna Kutcher's podcast, and I was not about it. And I was like trying to force my way through it. But I finally realized like Autumn isn't necessarily talking about the business in the way that I'm having to grow this business. She was just in a realm of her own. She is a trainer. She built her programs. It's just different. So I'm moving on. I'm going to get one where somebody is, talking about building their business and is more coming from a similar place that I am. And really with personal development, I picked that back up towards the end of the year. So let's say November, December time. There has been such a noticeable difference in my mood, in my mentality, in the way that I approach problems, in the way I have patience, in the way that like I feel at the end of the day when I do personal development. And I know we hit it all the time, but it truly is. It is so important. It is so real. And like when we are learning more, I feel when we are learning more about our emotions and about the way our minds work, we just have better ways to manage them, and better ways to kind of figure out exactly what our minds are doing. So whether it's, management, why we have limiting beliefs, why we have anger. And if you understand how it all works, you can kind of understand how to redirect it. So that's kind of my, personal fail, but something I've picked up towards the end of the year, and I have already just seen a huge difference. And so something that I'm definitely going to continue through this year. And then this is my last set. So my last win for the year for 2018 was inviting. And inviting had been something that I know is really hard for coaches to get over the hurdle when they first start. It was something that had been really tough for me just because it wasn't natural. And I definitely had some of those hesitations of like, oh, I'm bothering people. People don't want to hear from me. Whatever those fears are. And I finally find a way of inviting that feels natural to you. So whether that is through your stories, if you do a poll, whoever is watching your stories, if you're asking questions and they're answering them, if people are liking your posts, or this is a rare instance, this was what was hard for me, was if you are establishing a personal connection with someone first, an authentic conversation, and then it makes sense to invite them, that is a definite way to do it. But the honesty is, for me, that has been more rare. It's been like, oh my gosh, hey, you were a Mizzou girl. But they're not always, we didn't always go to the same alma mater. We're not always from the same city. We might truly not on the surface, have like a natural in. And so, but if I notice that they are watching my stories, liking my posts, they're coming back day after day, an invite, even if I send it to them, I know Janine talks about lukewarm invites, and I really love that terminology, just because, you're not random to them. They've seen you, they know what you're about. They keep coming back and watching your stories. You're not random. You're not harassing them. They know that they're going to get from you. And that was a really big realization for me this year of I built this space. I built this fitness space. No one here has to be following me. They don't need to feel obligated. So one thing that I have said to some of my girls as they come in, because I know there's different methodologies around this, is if you don't feel comfortable in your personal account, turning that into a fitness account, some people want to, and that's totally great. That would have never worked for me. I would have felt like I was harassing my friends. I had to create my own space and then realize like anyone who's watching me here, they want to be watching me. And so if I invite them, yeah, some people might, unfollow, but they probably had followed for like less than half a day anyway, and it's fine. Like there will be a new one. But anyway, yeah, I think that was a really big realization to me. So find a way that does, to invite, that does, get your own space, find a way to invite that feels natural to you. And then lastly is you're going to get an objection. 100% of the time. It's not just like if you get an objection, you're going to get an objection somewhere in a conversation with somebody. And it's not because you've done something wrong. It's not because you're not good at it. It's not because, you said something and you said something the wrong way. It's because we're human and we say no because no, excuses are easier than actually trying something new or trying something scary, trying something different. We make up excuses. I will go down the street to TJ Maxx looking for a specific thing. And once I'm there, I'm talking myself out of buying it. Like, why do we do that? It's because we're human. And so it's the exact same thing. You might reach out to somebody, they might even reach out to you. And then all of a sudden in the conversation, they're saying, oh, I don't have time for this. Or I was talking to a girl the other day and we were talking about Energize. And she said to me, she said something to the effect of, oh, my morning routine is just so down to the second. My alarm goes off at 6:42. I have to be out of the house by 6:47 to make it to a workout class at this time. I barely even been awake for 20 minutes before I start my workout. I was like, girlfriend, and I called her out. I called her out, but I sent her a voice message and I was like, girlfriend, like you absolutely have 2 extra minutes to get a water bottle out or mix it up the night before, sit it on your bedstand, and drink it on the way to class. I've done that on the way to my class, but it sounds like, and this is coming from the heart, if anyone appreciates structure, it's me. Like I appreciate structure like nobody's business, but it seems like you're reaching out and wanting to try something new, but you have to give yourself the freedom to try something new. And she messaged me back and she was like, you're so right. Like, let me think about this and I'm going to get back to you, but you're so right. And so like, she appreciated it. And if you get a no, if you get a not right now, you continue to invite, add value, and then follow up. And so this last thing, my fail my fail for 2018, but my opportunity that I am turning into this year and my focus for this year. Inviting was great for me. Recruiting was tough. And I know that this is kind of the natural progression of the business, right? Like recruiting for me right now has been tough. This has been my big scary thing. And I think step 1 of that was starting to run sneak peeks. That was really big this year. Starting to run sneak peeks, starting to get in front of potential new coaches, starting to just talk about kind of my story. And that part 1 of why it was tough for me was because I had a hard time isolating my story, and it wasn't about income. And I know a lot of people have, their story is focused on income. I have a job that pays me really well, and I'm so fortunate to have that, but there is still a draw to this business for so many other reasons other than the paycheck I'm getting. And for me, it's the connection and the community and the positivity and the positive with feeding off of each other and just, having like-minded women in your life who care about and prioritize some of the same things you do. There are other women out there that need the exact same thing, and they don't need some big story about how we're going to get freedom from our jobs and replace our incomes and do this full time. They don't need that story. Who knows? That could end up being my story. That would be amazing. But to connect with my potential coaches, I don't need that big, huge thing. I just need, in that moment that I signed up, why did I sign up? And that's it. And so isolating my story and trying new things. So this comes back to something I do well. Going into the new year, if I know that sneak peeks were not something that was working super well for me, I'm going to pivot. And I've been watching some trainings from Jen Richardson, and her method, she follows 10 girls every month and she interacts with them. She has conversations. She has real conversations, and she finds things that they have in common. Maybe she finds somebody, for me, it would be like, she finds somebody who's a runner, and they'll talk about running, and we'll reach out and we'll kind of go through that. And then a couple of weeks in, that's when you get to invite and say like, hey, we've been talking for a while. I think you're awesome. Do you have any interest in what I do as a coach? Like, could I send you this PDF? I've got this PDF and this video I can send to you to watch, and you can just let me know, how that sits with you. This is obviously not like a wordsmithed invite. Don't say any of this, but that's the sentiment. It's like, hey, we've been chatting. You're awesome. Like, do you want to know more about, what I do as a health and fitness coach? And then you send them a PDF and a video. And because you have that relationship already, they're probably going to say yes. And then they can decide for themselves if they want to hear more information. And at that point, it's like, hey, this sounds really cool. I would love more information. And then that's when you can say, let's hop on a call. And so that is what I've got for you. I feel like I went on a lot longer than what I meant to, but any questions?
Gosh, that was so good. I was busy taking notes, and I'm not sure if you're on your computer, but if anybody's on their computer, in the chat section, I dropped some of her podcasts that Brittany mentioned, the coaches that she follows, and I do have that Jen Richardson script that she uses, so I just copied and pasted that in this chat as well. Oh my gosh, Britt, that was so good. Like, I wrote down so many nuggets that you said, and I think your story is just so relatable, and I want to thank you just for being so real and raw and transparent for everybody, and your triumphs and also your struggles, because that's life, and this is a business, and you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. I love the mentality that you have, that like trying doesn't hurt anything, and that you're not going to fail unless you quit. And I think, just getting into that mindset and overcoming that is just a really, really powerful thing. So I kind of want to open this up to questions. If anybody has a question, you can unmute yourself, or you can wave and I will unmute you. If not, I've got a couple lined up for Britt, but I'll open up the floor. Anybody have any thoughts or questions? Got a different kind of perspective over here from hearing me yak all the time.
I was scrolling through to try to see if I could even see any of your posts, but I cannot.
Okay, so I know Brittany and I ran a couple sneak peeks together before I totally went rogue and did my Instagram one. And side note, because Brittany mentioned in the Champions page, just watching some of those videos to see like what coaches you jive with, because I watched this training from this coach named Genevieve on the Champions page. I started following her on Instagram because I'm like, this girl is blonde, bubbly, and I just want to be her best friend. So I started following her, and I saw her running her sneak peek on Instagram. I reached out to her on Instagram and direct messaged her and said, could you give me feedback? And that's how I came up with that idea. So never be afraid to find somebody who you like in that Champions page, follow them, and you never know what might happen if you do reach out. So Britt, what are you thinking for sneak peeks in 2019?
So this is an idea actually as of the last week. And I know that in kind of on the pathway to Diamond, and my goal is to hit Diamond 100% by Summit. I know that I also have some milestones in the meantime that I need to hit in order to be there. And so I have goals for January, February, March, April, until we're there, because I want to be on that Diamond track when we're at Summit. And I had mentioned to Danielle, I said something like, you know, I had been watching some trainings about recruiting and running sneak peeks, and just some of the numbers that a lot of these top coaches were saying that they were hitting when they're inviting to the business. And I said something about, you know, like inviting, I think I said, if you break it all down, it was like 5 coaches a day. And one, I don't have enough followers to do that. So I also, it's a time commitment just to get people into that top of your funnel, to even like get people to follow, to grow that awareness piece, to get people to follow you back. Like that is a huge time commitment. It's one that I know, you know, some people are using some apps to do it. There are other methods to do it. But for me, it's been a time commitment and it's tough. I had mentioned that to Danielle, and I also mentioned, you know, I'm going to try to host 2 sneak peeks in the month of January and get some resources ready for that. And she kind of just said to me, she was like, Britt, like, do what's doable for you, which is real. Like, I can kill myself trying to put together all of these resources and all of these videos and all of these, you know, 2 sneak peeks and do all of this, or I can do something I know that is doable for me. And for me, I know that is, I'm going to film 1 video talking about the business. I'm going to make 1 PDF, and those will last me for months until I decide that maybe something isn't right and I can redo it. But like, you know, those will last me for months. I can follow, I like the Jen Richardson. I like what she was talking about with her methodology of like, I'm going to follow 10 people and establish those relationships for this month so that they're close, and then send them the information. Because I think the toughest part sometimes on the coaching front is to get people just receptive to that information, and why they might want to be part of this. And for me, if they already feel a connection for me or with me, my whole mentality around building this team is about the team and about the connection. Like maybe that's something that a value we share. And so that's going to be kind of what I try for January, see how it goes. And
I love that. It's like
yeah.
a monthly dream team in a way, that you're kind of creating this like list of your dream team, because they're actually women who you want to work with, actually who you want to get to know. And so you are building those genuine relationships. And like, I'm never going to go out of the gate and invite to coaching anymore. I mean, we all had phases in our business, if you've been in here long enough, where you're just kind of like shooting in the dark for coaches and just reaching out to whoever has a pulse. But now it's about being, you know, more intentional to find those women who actually want to build, but who like you enjoy working with. So that's like a really, really, I think, powerful way to look at coaching, more so quality over quantity.
Exactly. Yep.
And then what's kind of like been your inviting jam? I know that you kind of talked about like all the different methods that you do with like your stories and polls. And I mean, you and I have kind of talked that CTA is like those never really work, coaching or, you know, boot camps, vice versa. What's been kind of your inviting jam lately?
So it's been a combination of things, and it's a whole other call. And actually I did that call this summer kind of about like my marketing, my whole marketing funnel, all of the different categories that I'm using in Streak. And it's methodical and it's a user journey and it's just like my brain, because I think that way. But what's been working for me in terms of inviting right now has been, I've gotten all of my scripts situated. And Janine, actually, I think you and I have a pretty similar, style of inviting. So the lukewarm invites from stories is my bread and butter. If anybody is watching my stories religiously, like that is going to be somebody that I reach out to. And it's because they're familiar with me. They know who I am. They've probably heard me talk. They've at least seen me doing the workouts. If they've skipped through every single thing I've talked about, at least they've seen me doing the workouts. They know what I'm about. And those invites that land, they're never random. And so I invite from stories all the time. Anyone who has liked my posts, I will invite. Anyone so I have also started a method of starting to go through my followers and scrolling to a random place and just like commenting on some of their stories, or finding a post and starting to like their posts again, because of the way the Instagram algorithm works, if you haven't interacted with somebody in a really long time, they're probably not appearing in your feed anymore, and you're probably not appearing in theirs. And so you could be a mutual follow, but haven't seen each other's stuff in literally 6 months. So truly, like, go through your list of followers, click on some random girl in the middle of it, and go to her page and like watch her story, see if there's anything interesting there. If there is, reach out, like, oh my gosh, your dog is precious. How old is he? Oh my gosh, your kid is precious. How old is he? They're equivalent, right? I obviously don't have children. But anything else, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you went to Mizzou too. Oh, you're a runner. Like, just anything very simple. And it's usually just very quick with a question. And then that starts some sort of mini conversation. And then at least you're starting to appear in each other's feeds and can start interacting again. And then down the line, if there's a conversation or if you've stayed engaged, it could be another invite.
I love it. And I have my last question, but I want to open up the floor. Anybody else think of anything as we were chit-chatting that you want to talk and ask Britt? That's totally fine. That's why I came loaded. That's okay. This is kind of like our first go around having a guest speaker. So Brittany was kind of like our guinea pig. But my final question. So you went over a ton of podcasts that you love, and that you're working your way back into the personal development realm. And I know that you love Rachel Hollis, but if you had 1 or 2 personal development books that you've had that have kind of stuck with you that you've read, what would 1 or 2 of them be?
You Are a Badass, which I know these are the classic ones, but You Are a Badass, I really, really liked. I think it just really gets into, so I have the issues with, like, I am my own worst critic. I get in my head, I psych myself out, I have self-doubt. That one was gold for me. I'm starting Girl Wash Your Face, and in kind of simultaneous with the Rise podcast, and I just think that the Rise podcast has been phenomenal. Jenna Kutcher, I've been listening to a lot. Another book, where did I read for that? Just Start was probably the very first one I listened to. All about kind of just like, you guys might have listened to this one too, but just jumping straight in, and really kind of getting over yourself. I read part of Get Over Your Damn Self. And it was just too hard for me. It was too deep into the direct marketing business. I wanted something that was lifted out of that. I wanted it to be a little bit more abstract.
I read probably a third of that book too, and I had to stop because I felt the exact same way.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. And I'm definitely going to post the podcast. I'll take screenshots of them that she talked about. I'll post them into our team page with this recording.
I'm a big podcast girl. If you ever want podcast recommendations outside of personal development too, I got you on all things politics, all things finance, all things nerd. So
I love it so much. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording for a sec, or just stop recording, and then